Okay, now we will talk about supply network design. First of all, we need to discuss one thing. We need to define the supply network. What are the supply networks, or what is the supply network for any company? Supply network is all the organizations that work together to make a product. Okay, all the companies, all the organizations that work together to create new product or provide a service. As an example here, the mobile phone, let's say iPhone 6. When Apple company create this mobile phone, Apple did not do that mobile phone alone. There are hundreds of other companies or other organizations that contribute to making or creating this product, which is the iPhone. Like, for example, the battery of the iPhone manufactured through a certain company. The processor also manufactured or created by different company, and so on. All of the pieces or the parts of the iPhone collected together, but each one of these equipments or parts came from different company. So all of these companies that worked together to create iPhone, we call them supply network. There are some questions that we will discuss it inshallah in this chapter, and these questions are: the first question, why should an organization take a total supply network perspective? This is a very important question. Why we discuss the other organizations, means the suppliers and the customers and so on. Why we discuss them in the business? We will discuss this issue, and then after that, what's involved in configuring a supply network? Where should an operation be located? And this is also a very important point here, which is the location of the operation. We will discuss it also. And finally, how much capacity should an operation plan to have? So these are the major topics in chapter 6. So here we have an example of a typical supply network. Okay, for example, this is a plastic homeware manufacturer, plastic factory, and this manufacturer take the plastic from their main suppliers. Okay, we call them the first tier supplier or the first level suppliers. Okay, so they take the plastic and using some special machines, they make the homeware plastics. But those suppliers which have the plastic, they also take another raw materials from what we call them the second tier or second level suppliers. They take, for example, some chemicals and cardboard and ink for coloring the plastic. You know that we have different colors. We have different colors in those type of products. So they need to have some ink colors in order to color the plastic. So this is the second level suppliers or second tier suppliers. They give those raw materials to the first tier suppliers, and the first tier suppliers give the plastic and packaging supplier to the company, which is the plastic homeware company. Okay, and this is what we call it, this place we call it the supply side, in the supply network. This is the supply side. Okay, when we go to the other side, which is the demand side, we will find that we have 2 levels and sometimes 3 levels, by the way. And here also, sometimes we have 3 levels, not only 2 levels. Yeah, the one who has the direct connection to the operation, we call it the first tier supplier. Okay? And here the same thing, the one who has the direct connection to the operation, we call it the first tier customer. So we have first tier supplier, first tier customer, second tier supplier, second tier customers. Okay, sometimes, as I told you, that sometimes we have 3 tiers or 3 levels. So here, when this company creates the products, they give it to wholesalers, and wholesalers give it to retailers. And the retailers sell directly to the end customer. Sometimes the wholesalers directly sell to the customers. And we have some examples here in Riyadh. We have some companies that do not have showrooms, rather they have only warehouses, big warehouses, and you can go directly to the warehouse and buy those products. And of course it will be cheaper if you buy it from the retailer. Now we need to see another idea, which is what we call it the vertical integration. Vertical integration. When the integration happened with the suppliers, we call it the upstream vertical integration. Okay, let me show you this 2 ideas. This integration, this side, integration in this side is the upstream vertical integration, whereas the integration with this in this direction, we call it downstream vertical integration. Okay, here we have what we call it the outsourcing. And as you know, that outsourcing means that you give your operation to different companies. When you do not want to do your operation yourself, you want your operation to be done through different companies, we call it outsourcing. You can outsource the whole operation, and also you can outsource only one process from the operations. Okay, this is what we call it outsourcing. Of course, the other company is separate company. It's a different company and do not belong to your operation or your organization. We have another topic or concept in operation. We call it the offshoring. And the offshoring is also when you make your operation in another country. Okay, when you have a company but you do the operation in another company, and this is what we call it the offshoring. And the difference between offshoring and outsourcing is that in outsourcing it's a different company that do your operation, but in offshoring it's your company but you have another branch in another country, and this branch is responsible for your operation. How can you decide, or which is better, to make it in-house, to make the operation in-house? Here, if you can see here, whether it's better to make your operation in-house or outsource it to another company. Which is better? We need to answer those 4 questions in order to decide whether we go for outsourcing or we do it in-house. And the first question is related to the strategic importance of the activity. Activity here means the operation itself or a process inside the operation. If the operation or a process is very important to your business cannot run without this operation, then it's better to do it in-house. Okay? If the activity is in strategic importance, then you need to explore keeping this activity in-house. Otherwise, if the operation is not strategically important, then we need to answer the second question, and the second question is related to whether you have specialized knowledge in doing this activity. If you have specialized knowledge, that means there is no other company in the market that has the knowledge that you have. Then, if you have specialized knowledge, you need to explore making the activity in-house. Otherwise, ask yourself the third question. And the third question is related to the operation performance. If you are super in operation performance, then keep it in-house, because you do not know whether that the operation will be at the same level of performance when you outsource it. Then you need to keep it in-house. Okay, and finally, when you outsource it, if there is any improvement when you outsource, here the last one is significant operations performance improvement likely. That means whether you will enhance or you will improve your performance. If you will improve your performance, then keep it in-house. But if you will not improve your performance, then after all of these questions, if the answer for all of these questions is no, then explore outsourcing the activity. Otherwise, keep it in-house. Okay, this is a very important topic in supply network, which is the outsourcing. Now we want to discuss the location of the operation. Okay, the location. Where should we put the operation? This decision depends on two sides. The first side, which is the supply side factors, and the other side, which is the demand side factors. You need to locate your operation based on those factors. First of all, think of the supply side factors, and supply side factors like, for example, the labor cost, the land cost, energy cost, transportation costs, and community factors. That means most of the time the cost is an important driver in the supply side when we decide the location of the operation. You need to locate your operation in the less costly places regarding the labor, regarding the land, energy, and so on. And from the demand side factor, we have something like the labor skills, and we mean by labor skills the skills of supporting the customers, the customer support skills. Suitability of site, that means it must be in good area which is in line with your image. And also the location should be convenient to your customers. So these two sides are very important in deciding the location of your operation. And we have in this chapter, the last point in this chapter, which is the weighted score method in deciding your location. Okay, here we want to decide the location of our operation. And we have three sites. We have site A, site B, and site C. And we want to compare between those three sites based on the weighted score method. We have these criteria, and these criteria are mixed between supply side factors and demand side factors. Okay, the first one, the cost of the site, we give it 40%. 4 means 40%. Okay, 4 means 40%, because we give it 40% because this is, in our opinion, this is the most important driver for our decision. We want to decide our location mainly based on the cost of the site. So we give it 40%. Okay? Then local taxes also, we want to compare between those 3 sites based on the local taxes. And this is our second criteria, because that we give it 20% here. Skills availability, we give it 10%. Access to motorways, we give it 10%. Access to airport, give it 10%. Potential for expansion, give it 10% also. So here, site A, site B, and site C has some scores based on our research. For example, in this, the cost of the site. The cost of site A is 80. And this 80 can be, for example, 80 million, 80,000, okay? 80 billion, for example. So this is just a number to show you that site A costs more than site B and site C. Okay? As you can see here, site B 65, site C 60. In the local taxes, site A 20, site B 50, site C 80, and so on. We try to, by the way, these, if you have this question in the exam, okay, these figures will be provided to you. Okay, these figures will be provided to you, and also the weighted, those weights will be also provided to you. And you need just to decide which site is the best site for the operation. The numbers, you multiply 4, okay, multiply it by 80, and multiply 2 by 20, okay, and 1 by 80, and so on. And then after that, you add the, for example here, 4 multiplied by 80 is equal to 320, right? 320. Okay. And here 2 by 20 is 40, and 1 by 80 is 80, 1 by 50 is 50, okay, and so on. Then you add those numbers together. You add them together, make the total for this number. You will find 585. No, multiply 4 by 80. 4. Here, this number 4. Okay. So, okay. Let me see the. Okay, just a minute. I have some questions here. Okay. Zainab said it's the lower cost. Yeah, it's the lower cost, but when you add all the criteria together, you will find that site C is the better one. For the skills availability, site A is the best, because this is that means site A has more skills available. Access to motorways, site C is the best one, okay? But here we want to add them all together. We want to see the whole picture here. We want to add, we want to see which site in all of these criteria is the best one. So we found that site C is the best one, okay? So this is the weighted score method. You mean why we choose the higher the higher number, because the higher number means that the best place, or the best, what we call it, the best site. Okay, this intermediation. What is the meaning of this intermediation? This intermediation means that we remove the middleman. We remove, for example, the wholesaler. If you remember when we discussed the Dell company example, we said that why Dell company is the best computer maker, because they eliminate the wholesalers and retailers, and they sell directly to the end customer. Removing the wholesaler and retailer, this is this intermediation. This intermediation means to remove or eliminate the intermediary or the middleman.